Stone, and welcome to the world of Edgar Allan Poe.
So for today's video, we return to that classic UK series thriller, and a 1974 episode from season 3, Kiss Me and Die. This story opens with a scene of somebody in Elizabethan costume dying.
No! No! Let me out! Please! Let me out! Let me out!
This is a great little story that starts off with all the tropes of a good classic folk horror and then descends into a pit of Edgar Allan Poe nightmares. So this episode opens in a very classic folk horror style. You've got the outsider, an American, coming to a rural village, and again he's looking for a lost relative. This seemed to happen to a lot of Americans at the time. They'd come over here to a little village and they'd vanish, and then their relatives would come looking for them. We saw it earlier in the other episode, Won't Write Home Mum, I'm Dead. And we see those classic tropes of going into the pub, the friendly pub, the locals pub. And the locals are friendly, but you sense something underneath. But he's a bit of a butt of their jokes. They entertain him because he's entertaining them.
Mind if I sit down?
Make yourself at home. Not there, though, if you pardon us. That's old Fred's chair.
I would say this pub is probably the dodgiest for getting a good pint of beer. They even make a joke about it, but it is like half a pint and half a pint of froth. Yeah.
So you've heard all about our beer, have you?
No, it's just that I'm an optimist.
Aye, Jack's points are a bit optimistic too. Just you wait till the froth's gone out on that one and see how much you got left.
There is a big mansion with a secret. So you have all these classic folk horror tropes that are coming forward in this episode. But then you find out the owner of the mansion has an obsession with Edgar Allan Poe.
To quote your own poet, Edgar Allan Poe, a great loss brings an iciness, a sinking, a sickening of the heart.
Now Mr. Lansford has a niece staying with him who is very much in the Edgar Allan Poe tradition of women in these situations. And of course, the American has to have a love interest.
Would you say I was pretty, Mr. Stone? Attractive?
Now, Jenny Agutter needs no real introduction to lovers of folk horror and the weird. She was to be Alex in The American Werewolf in London. She's appeared in 4 different versions of Edith Nesbit's The Railway Children, the 1960s TV series, and then the classic film that gets repeated on a regular basis. And then a remake where she played the mother, and then another version just recently. So that's 4 versions of one film that Jenny Agutter has appeared in. She was also in that 1970 film, The Snow Goose, a really nice little slice of folk drama. But she also appeared in Burke and Hare. She appeared in the horror film Dominique. She even appeared in an episode of The $6 Million Man. She was in an episode of Shadows. And she played Mary Shelley in the 1972 film Shelley. I would really like to be able to track down a copy of that. I think there is a whole video to be made about Byron and Shelley and the creation of the vampire and Frankenstein. So she has played a whole load of roles which would really fit into this channel. Playing the American Robert Stone is an actor called Chakiris, and He's been in a lot of things. He appeared a couple of times with Marilyn Monroe. He started his acting life as a dancer, so he was in a couple of Marilyn Monroe films. Became famous through his role in West Side Story. And he was also in Brigadoon. I have to do a video on that one day. He also played a vampire in 1990's Pale Blood. Not one of the most famous vampire movies, but nevertheless, a good role. So we have an Oscar-winning actor in this little episode, playing the American. Playing the Lord of the Manor, Jonathan Lansford, is Anton Diffring, who seemed destined to play Nazi officers in a lot of roles, including in Doctor Who, in The Silver Nemesis. Playing the Lord's gamekeeper is Stephen Grief, acting out a role which is almost a blueprint for his role as Harry Fenning in Wolfie.
Oh, no. Not if Mr. Jonathan has anything to do with it, he won't.
Stephen Grief was also, of course, in Blake 7, a Hammer House of Mystery and Suspense episode, and an episode of Tales of the Unexpected. And finally, in a small role, was John Sharp. He turns up in so many things, including, of course, The Wicker Man, the Frankenstein story, The Bride, with Sting in the 80s, and that 70s horror movie, And Now the Screaming Starts.
You know perfectly well that Mr. Lansford does not like his private affairs discussed with strangers.
Most of the external shots are filmed in Albury in Hertfordshire, and it's a really, pleasant little village. It's used in a lot of different TV programmes because of its nice setting and its closeness to Elstree Studio. So that's this episode of Thriller, which I think pays so much homage to Edgar Allan Poe. You have references to the Cask of Amontillado. You have bits from The Telltale Heart. He holds a party at one point, and it's very much Mask of the Red Death. And at the party, there's the pit and the pendulum reference with a huge axe acting as a pendulum. So there's many Poe references in this. And this combination of folk horror and Poe makes for a really potent episode. It's not supernatural, but then Poe often wasn't. But what it does is it really gets to the crux of what can happen in isolated villages and what people could get away with. The whole network of how the village operates. The gamekeeper, the poacher. Poacher's played by Russell Hunter, and he's a really good little character. You really start to feel on his side as he tries not to tell more than he knows.
One of my little moonlight walks, about 2 months ago, I heard them chains still rattling.
So that's Kiss Me and Die. A weird little 1974 programme that combines folk horror and Edgar Allan Poe. Hope you enjoy it. Until next time, take care.